So today I'm going to tell you about the wrong way to date a woman. So a big problem is that most guys rush into relationships with the wrong women. They start hanging out with the girl for a little bit. They think she's kind of cool, maybe not girlfriend material, but they don't have any other options. So then they just kind of fall into it. The woman dictates the terms, and all of a sudden they're in a relationship that they feel like they're settling for with a girl that they're not all that excited about, but who is just kind of there. And if you extrapolate that out, that leads to, poor long-term relationships that waste your time. It can lead to a poor marriage. It can lead to a whole bunch of messed up things happening in your life. If you don't want that to happen, then listen up. So let's first talk about what guys are doing wrong. And the first big thing is they don't have any options. They don't have a consistent way of meeting women, whether it be online, whether it be approaching girls, whether it be through social circle. It's whatever they're doing is not consistent. So they feel like, whenever they meet one girl that's kind of cool, they have to make it work because they have no other options. Now, if you're coming from this place of scarcity, you're going to have problems because you're going to make bad choices. Your brain is in that scarcity mode and it's going to latch on to whatever it can get. Having high quality options solves this problem, but the problem is 90% of guys don't have any options at all. The next thing is they fail to pace the relationship. So they meet a girl they like, and instead of, pacing it out, hanging out with her 1-2 times a week for the first few months, they'll all of a sudden start hanging out with her 3-4 times a week, sometimes every single day. And the relationship feels like there's no room to grow with it, right? Like there's nowhere else to go. You've already been hanging out with her every single day. She doesn't have time to miss you. You don't even really have time to assess your feelings, whether you actually like her. You end up cutting off all your other options because you're spending all your time with this one girl right away. It's a recipe for disaster and a recipe for the relationship to fall apart a few months in. I've seen this happen so many times before. The next problem is poor communication. So a lot of times guys will meet a girl, they'll like her, she's pretty, and that's enough to just go all the way, right? But what they fail to realize or they fail to see is that compatibility is super important. And when you're not asking the right questions early on in a relationship to actually test for compatibility, you don't know if you guys actually are any sort of fit long term. You're just just playing with your emotions, banking on the chemistry working out. And this also is a recipe for disaster because there may be a huge difference in values that you may not realize. There may be some things that she does that you're just not okay with. For example, for me, if a girl doesn't work out consistently, if she doesn't maybe know how to cook, if she doesn't just have good self-care routines, I'm probably not going to want to date her long term. Those are kind of deal breakers for me. If you don't take the time to communicate these things, to figure out, where you guys are headed, what her vision is for her life, what types of things are important for her, what are her values, then you put yourself in a potentially really bad situation down the road. You need to understand how to communicate well and be willing to walk away if things don't match up and you guys are not compatible. Next thing is a lot of guys ignore red flags. So maybe they have things that are important for them, like me, right? Where it's like they want a girl who goes to the gym, they want a girl who's healthy in a lot of different ways, they want a girl who's nurturing, different things like that. But maybe the girl they've been hanging out with doesn't want kids at all, isn't even looking for a relationship. Maybe she's cheated in the past. Maybe she just has a lot of things that don't align with what's important to them. And instead of seeing that and being willing to walk away or addressing it, they sort of sweep it under the rug because she's cool and hot, and it sort of festers, right? These things fester until they bubble to the surface later on and the whole thing blows up in their face. Next thing, a lot of guys are bad at setting boundaries. So when the woman does something that they don't like, they don't address it. They don't call it out. They just sort of let it fester, and the woman gains more and more control of the relationship and also feels like she can kind of just walk all over the guy. And you flash forward a few years later, the guy's sitting there saying, happy wife, happy life, and he's basically just an NPC drone at that point. He's lost all control, and he's essentially almost neutered. If you're not willing to have a few tough, uncomfortable conversations, then you better be willing to have a tough life with a lot of shitty relationships. And the last big mistake I see a lot of guys make is talking to this girl all the time, especially at the beginning, right? So instead of spacing it out, maybe texting her every few days and making plans, they'll text her every single day, multiple times a day, trying to have these long pen pal-like conversations. And that creates the expectation that the guy's always going to be there to talk to her whenever she needs it. And you don't give it any breathing room. and you also are giving away a lot of your time. What this does is it sets the precedent that you're always going to be there at her beck and call, and that you don't really value your time all that much. This is very bad for the future of any relationship. So what should you do instead? How do you avoid all these bad mistakes that guys make and give yourself the best chance to have a good, healthy relationship that can last? Well, let's talk about it. So first off, you're gonna wanna take it slow, right? You don't wanna hang out with her every day to start. Maybe once a week, and gradually increase to 1 to 2 times, 2 to 3 times and beyond over the course of a few months, right? That way it always feels like it's growing and never stagnating, and you give yourself time to see if you like her and go from there. Next up, you should be screening for compatibility throughout the early stages of the dating process. And one really good way to see this is to take a trip with a girl early on. If you've been seeing the girl for a month or two, go for a weekend trip. Maybe you experience a little bit of travel adversity and see how she responds to it. Does she freak out? Is she cool, calm, and collected? This is going to tell you a lot about her and whether or not you guys could potentially be compatible. Next up, address red flags when they come up, when you spot them, and be willing to walk away if she's not willing to change her behavior, right? And you don't need to try to change every girl, but at the end of the day, if there's certain things you're not cool with, you're not going to be cool with them. Like, don't just accept them because the girl is cool, right? Like, be willing to walk away and find different options, because there is no the one. There's plenty of amazing girls out there, and with the right skill set, the right communication skills, the right attitude, you can find those women. You don't need to settle for a woman that has red flags that you're not okay with. Next up, set strong boundaries when she does something that you're not okay with. Don't just be willing to sweep it under the rug because, again, she's cool and hot, right? Address it. She's not cool with it. Be willing to walk away. And finally, make sure you always have options in your dating life. You never want to be in a spot where you can only make it with this one girl, and if it doesn't work out with her, then you're going to feel super alone. You're going to feel super in scarcity, right? You need to understand how to build the right skill sets, how to have the right tools so that you can meet girls anytime, anywhere. So even if you're single for a week, you can go out there, meet girls, get dates, and get things back rolling. Most guys don't have that. If you want to stand out, you got to be one of those guys. And that way, when you actually are making relationship decisions, you're doing it from a place of abundance, of a place of, okay, this girl's cool. I have several other cool girls. Do I want to keep pushing it forward with this? And if you do, great. You've now made that decision from a place of having those options. It's a healthier place to make the decision. Now, bro, relationships and really the person you choose to spend your life with is one of the most, if not the most important decision of your life. It's going to affect every other aspect. It's going to affect your general happiness, your level of fulfillment. And if that decision is wrong, good luck. Right now, if you want help making the right decision, meeting more high quality women that you're excited about, and understanding how to actually grow relationships the right way and get our help along the way, all you got to do is click the first link in my description. You can apply for a free consultation call with me and my team. We'll have a conversation with you. We'll see if we can help. We've helped a lot of guys be able to start great relationships, as well as be able to grow those relationships the right way, in a healthy way that lasts and turn into something great and add a lot of value to their life. So again, if you want some help with that, click that first link and I will see you there. Otherwise, man, hope you have a great day. Hope you've been getting some value out of these videos, and I'll see you in the next one.
Before I joined the program, I didn't have any second or third dates. There was no connections at the end. After joining the program for a month, I've been on about 8 different dates. So far, all 8 dates, I hook up with them. I never thought I would have 75% success rate, which is huge. Like September alone, I went out 8 dates. 6 of them are very successful. And out of the 6 people, I'm talking to 4 of them. And I would have never imagined that.